You know, if you asked most men what they love to hear, they'd probably shrug and say, "I don't know, I'm fine." But the truth is, there are certain words that light them up inside, words they'd never admit they crave, but that can make them feel 10 feet tall when they hear them. When it comes to relationships, we often talk about how women appreciate reassurance, compliments, and emotional connection, but what often gets overlooked is that men need these things just as much. They may not say it, and they may even brush it off with a shrug or a joke, but underneath the surface, affirmation matters deeply to them. The truth is, men are human beings with insecurities, hopes, and a desire to be valued, but the difference is that they are often taught from a young age to hide those feelings. From childhood, many boys hear phrases like, "Man up," "Don't cry," or "Be strong." While this might be intended to prepare them for the challenges of life, it also sends the message that emotional needs should be kept hidden. This creates a situation where a man may crave certain words but will never admit it outright because he fears it might make him seem weak or needy. Affirmation in this sense is not about inflating his ego or giving hollow praise. It's about acknowledging that he is enough, that he is valued, and that who he is matters. This is more powerful than people realize. Even the most confident-looking man has days when he questions himself, whether it's about his abilities, his attractiveness, or his worth in a relationship. When you offer a genuine compliment or express appreciation for something specific about him, you're not just being nice, you're giving him a sense of security in how you see him. This is especially important because men often feel their value is measured by what they can do rather than who they are. If the only feedback he gets is about his performance, at work, in solving problems, in providing, he can feel like his worth is conditional. Affirmation tells him that he matters beyond his output. The key to this kind of affirmation is sincerity. A man can tell when you are saying something out of politeness or habit, and that won't have much effect. But when you look at him and say, "I love the way you always find a way to make me laugh, even when I've had the worst day," it lands in a completely different way. This is not about surface-level flattery. It's about letting him know that you see the unique qualities he brings into your life. Because he might be used to hiding his emotional needs, hearing something so personal can touch him more deeply than you might expect. Another important part of giving affirmation is timing. Men aren't always ready to open up and absorb praise in the middle of a heated discussion or when they're distracted. Sometimes it's those unexpected moments, when he's driving, when you're walking together, or when you're just relaxing, that the words hit hardest. The surprise of being affirmed without asking for it makes it even more special, and because men often operate under the pressure of appearing in control, these moments of unexpected kindness can become a quiet anchor in his self-belief. It's worth noting that affirmation is not about overpraising or creating dependence. It's about balancing honesty with encouragement, letting him know that you see his strengths while still being able to communicate openly about challenges. In fact, affirmation can make tough conversations easier because when a man knows you value him, he's less defensive and more receptive. He feels safe, and that safety allows for greater honesty and intimacy between you. In a world where men are expected to project strength at all times, being the person who gives them permission to simply be seen and appreciated is one of the most powerful gifts you can offer. When it comes to giving compliments, most people rely on the safe, generic ones. A quick, "You look nice," or "Good job" can be pleasant to hear, but for a man, it often fades into the background because it doesn't tell him anything unique about himself. Specific praise, on the other hand, cuts through the noise. It shows him you've been paying attention to the details of who he is and what he does, which is far more meaningful than a passing comment. When you tell a man exactly what you appreciate, you're letting him know that you see him as an individual, not just another person filling a role in your life. That kind of recognition stays with him because it speaks directly to his identity. Men are often conditioned to measure their worth by achievement or external validation, so when praise is vague, it can feel hollow. They may think you're just being polite or offering a compliment because you feel like you should, but when you say something like, "I admire how you stayed calm when everything at work was falling apart," it not only validates his actions, but also reinforces a part of his character he may be proud of, yet doesn't often hear acknowledged. This type of praise tells him you're noticing qualities beyond the surface, which makes your words more credible and powerful. Specific praise also helps a man feel more secure in the relationship because it's based on observation rather than assumption. If you tell him, "You're funny," it's nice. But if you say, "I love that you can make me laugh when I'm stressed. It's one of my favorite things about you," he understands exactly what you mean and why it matters to you. This level of detail tells him your attraction and appreciation aren't just fleeting. They're grounded in experiences you've shared and moments you've noticed. It reassures him that the bond you share is based on genuine understanding, not just vague affection. The beauty of specific praise is that it doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. In fact, noticing the small things can be even more impactful. Complimenting how he remembers tiny details you mention, how he's consistent in keeping promises, or how he manages to fix something without making a fuss shows that you're attuned to who he is day to day. These small acknowledgements can boost his confidence more than a generic, "You're amazing," because they're rooted in real actions and behaviors. When a man hears this kind of targeted appreciation, it can shift the way he sees himself. Even if he's modest, he'll carry that affirmation with him, replaying it when he needs a confidence boost. The detail gives it weight, and the sincerity makes it memorable. Instead of wondering if your praise is just habit or politeness, he knows it comes from a place of genuine recognition, and that makes it something he won't forget. Respect and admiration are two of the most powerful emotional needs for men, yet they are often the ones least openly discussed. Many men grow up in environments where their value is tied to what they can provide, solve, or achieve, which means their sense of worth is strongly linked to whether others see them as capable and competent. When a man hears words that communicate respect, it's not just a compliment, it's an acknowledgement of his effort, his intelligence, and his judgment. This kind of affirmation reinforces his confidence in himself and strengthens the bond between you because it tells him you believe in his abilities. Saying something like, "I trust your judgment," or "I really admire how you handled that situation," hits much deeper than generic praise. It tells him you're not just noticing what he did, but also that you value the way he thinks and the principles he operates by. This goes beyond approval. It's a statement of faith in his character. Men often carry the weight of feeling like they need to be a problem solver or a leader in different aspects of life, and knowing that you respect how they approach challenges can be incredibly reassuring. It lets them know they don't have to constantly prove themselves to you because you already see and appreciate their competence. Respect isn't only about big achievements. In fact, smaller moments often carry more meaning. Recognizing how he handles himself when he's under pressure, how he treats people with kindness, or how he stands up for what he believes in can have a lasting effect. When you acknowledge these things, you're showing that your admiration isn't conditional on flashy accomplishments. It's tied to who he is at his core. This kind of steady recognition builds a deep sense of trust because it assures him that your view of him is rooted in his consistent character rather than temporary outcomes. Admiration also inspires men to step up in even greater ways. When he feels that you respect his abilities, he becomes more confident in taking action, making decisions, and taking responsibility. It creates a positive cycle. The more you express admiration for his strengths, the more he wants to live up to them. On the other hand, a lack of respect or recognition can leave a man feeling undervalued, which over time can chip away at his sense of purpose and connection in the relationship. It's worth noting that genuine respect has to be earned, and that's what makes it so meaningful when it's expressed. When a man knows you don't hand out praise lightly, your words carry more weight. They become something he treasures because they reflect a real acknowledgement of his effort and integrity. In a world that constantly challenges men to prove themselves, being with someone who openly admires and respects them is both grounding and motivating, giving them the security to be their best self without fear of judgment. Playful acknowledgement of a man's efforts is one of those subtle but powerful ways to make him feel valued without turning the moment into a heavy emotional exchange. Men often operate in a space where they're expected to just get things done without needing recognition. So when you make a light-hearted comment that shows you noticed his effort, it can mean far more than it seems on the surface. A simple teasing, "You're my hero today," or "Look at you saving the day again," might sound casual, but underneath it carries the message, "I see what you did, and I appreciate it." This balance of humor and gratitude makes the recognition easy for him to accept because it doesn't put him on the spot emotionally, yet it still leaves a lasting impression. One reason this works so well is that men often struggle with receiving direct praise, especially if it's framed in a serious or sentimental way. They might feel embarrassed or unsure of how to respond, and in some cases, they may even downplay their contribution. Playful acknowledgement bypasses this discomfort. It allows you to give him the recognition he deserves in a way that feels natural, light, and fun. Instead of making it a formal thank you, it becomes a shared moment of connection where the underlying appreciation is clear but wrapped in a tone that keeps things easygoing. It's also a way of reinforcing his role in your life without creating pressure. When you make a joking comment about him being your rescuer for fixing something, helping you out, or taking care of a problem, it reminds him that his efforts have value. Even if he insists that it was no big deal, the fact that you noticed makes him feel acknowledged. Men like to feel capable and useful to the people they care about, and when you point out what they've done, even in a light, teasing way, it affirms that they are making a difference. These playful acknowledgements also build positive emotional association. If every time he helps or supports you, it's followed by a smile, a playful comment, or a bit of affectionate humor, he connects his actions with positive feelings in the relationship. That doesn't mean he's only acting for praise, but it does mean the dynamic becomes more enjoyable for both of you. It turns everyday acts into opportunities for connection rather than just routine tasks. Another advantage is that it helps keep the relationship energy light. Life brings enough serious moments, and while deep appreciation has its place, not every expression of gratitude needs to feel weighty. Playful recognition strikes the perfect balance. It shows him you care without making it overly sentimental. Over time, these small, light-hearted acknowledgements can strengthen the bond because they create a pattern of mutual recognition and shared humor, both of which keep a relationship warm and resilient. Appreciation for a man's unspoken strengths is one of the most underestimated ways to make him feel valued. Many of the things men do in relationships or daily life are done quietly without asking for recognition because they see it as simply fulfilling their role or responsibility. Whether it's making sure the car is safe to drive, keeping an eye out for your comfort in social situations, or offering silent support during stressful times, these are efforts that often go unnoticed. Yet when someone takes the time to notice and acknowledge them, it sends a powerful message: you are seen even when you're not asking to be. Men are often taught that their worth lies in being dependable and steady, in handling challenges without complaint, and in providing security in both practical and emotional ways. Because of this, they rarely highlight these strengths themselves. They may not think anyone notices, or they may feel that pointing them out would seem like fishing for compliments. But when you take the initiative to express gratitude for these quieter forms of contribution, it not only validates their efforts, but also reassures them that their role in your life is significant beyond obvious gestures. These acknowledgements are most effective when they are specific and tied to moments you genuinely appreciated. Saying something like, "I really love how you always make sure I'm comfortable when we go out," or "It means a lot that you check in on things before they become a problem," shows him you understand and value his attentiveness. It proves you're not just focused on the big dramatic acts of love or care, but also on the small, consistent ways he supports you. This kind of recognition builds a deep sense of connection because it tells him you are aware of his presence and contributions, even when they are subtle. Appreciating unspoken strengths also builds trust. When a man knows you recognize what he does without him having to point it out, it creates a quiet confidence in the relationship. He doesn't have to perform or prove himself for acknowledgement. Instead, he feels secure knowing that his consistent, often invisible efforts matter to you. That security can encourage him to continue offering that same steady support without fear that it's being overlooked. It's worth noting that this form of appreciation can have a ripple effect. When a man feels valued for his unspoken strengths, he often becomes more open about other aspects of himself, both strengths and vulnerabilities. Feeling seen encourages him to share more, because he knows you are someone who notices and appreciates the full picture of who he is. Over time, these moments of recognition can become the glue that holds a relationship together, because they affirm that the foundation you're building isn't just based on what's obvious, but on the deeper qualities that truly sustain connection. Encouragement without pity is a form of support that can lift a man up without making him feel diminished. Many men are sensitive to the tone in which reassurance is given, because while they may welcome motivation and belief in their abilities, they often resist anything that feels like condescension or sympathy that suggests they are weak. Words like, "I know you can handle this," or "You've got this, I believe in you," carry a completely different weight than phrases that sound like you are cushioning him because you doubt his strength. The difference lies in whether your words inspire him to rise to the challenge or make him feel as though you are lowering the bar out of concern. Men are often raised with the idea that they should be problem solvers and protectors, so when life throws challenges at them, they feel an internal pressure to meet those challenges head on. In these moments, encouragement works best when it frames them as capable and resilient. It's not about ignoring the difficulty of what they're facing, but about expressing confidence that they have what it takes to deal with it. This makes your support feel empowering rather than patronizing. Instead of reminding him of the risk of failure, you're reinforcing his sense of agency and competence. This kind of encouragement also creates a safe space for him to admit his doubts without feeling judged. When he knows you believe in his abilities, he can open up about his worries without fearing that you'll see him as less capable. In turn, that openness can strengthen your connection because it allows him to be vulnerable without losing his dignity in your eyes. The reassurance is in your trust, not in sympathy that might make him feel like a project that needs fixing. Timing plays a big role in how encouragement is received. Offering it too soon or in the wrong tone can make it feel forced, as if you are trying to cheer him up rather than stand beside him. Waiting for a natural moment or pairing your words with attentive listening ensures that he feels heard first and then supported. It shows that your belief in him comes from understanding the situation, not from blind optimism. Encouragement without pity also has a lasting effect because it strengthens a man's internal confidence. When he achieves something after you've expressed genuine belief in him, the success feels shared in a positive way. You were part of the emotional fuel that helped him move forward without overshadowing his own accomplishments. Over time, this approach deepens trust and respect in the relationship because he knows you see him as capable and resourceful. It reassures him that you're not just there to comfort him when things go wrong, but to stand alongside him, ready to remind him of his own strength when he needs it most. At the heart of it, the things men love to hear but rarely admit to wanting all come down to one truth. They want to feel truly seen, valued, and respected for who they are, not just for what they do. Whether it's through heartfelt affirmation, specific praise, expressions of respect, playful acknowledgement, appreciation for their quiet strengths, or encouragement that lifts without pity, these words have the power to reach places qualities most men don't show on the surface. They're not about feeding an ego, they're about building connection, trust, and emotional safety. When you choose to notice and voice these things, you give him something rare, a space where he can be both strong and vulnerable, confident and open, without fear of judgment. And that kind of connection doesn't just make him feel good in the moment, it strengthens the bond in a way that lasts far beyond the words themselves.